Hey homeschool friends, so it is that season again. It is the time of year, the best time of year in my opinion, to buy and sell used curriculum. So in today's video, I am planning to give you 8 different tips for how best to navigate selling and buying your used homeschool curriculum. So hi, my name is Angie. Welcome to the channel if you are new here, or welcome back if you have been coming for a while. So I am super excited to make this video. I feel like I have gotten really good at this over the past 4-ish years that I have been homeschooling, where I have been able to both sell and buy used homeschool curriculum. And by no means is this video about like how to find the cheapest homeschool curriculum. It is more about finding exactly what you want, whether it be the latest edition, almost new curriculum, things like that, because I feel like I've gotten really good at this. And I have a video coming up, I think it's my next video, where I'm unboxing my Sunlight used curriculum, because this year I was able to piece all of it together used, but I was able to find really excellent used sets. And I'm so proud of myself. And so that's really what spurred on this video idea, is to share some of what I've learned over the years to get exactly what I want when it comes to used curriculum and save a little bit of money in the process. So I'm going to start with my tips on buying first, because they're just a little bit different than selling. So when you're buying curriculum, my first and biggest tip is to stay organized and be future focused. Now this doesn't always work. Like say you're mid-year and you need to make a switch and you need to make a switch quickly, then you odds are usually end up spending more money. But as we're approaching kind of the end of the homeschool year and we're all thinking about next year, or at least I am thinking about next year, this is the time when you can assess what your plan is. And if you have decided what your plan is early enough, that gives you more time to find the curriculum used, and it gives you more time to find it in like excellent condition. So time is your best commodity in this. Like, to be organized enough to know what you want gives yourself the most time to use some of these strategies to find exactly what you want. So that's the kind of the first broad tip. Second, more specific tip is to try to set up saved searches within the apps or services that you use to buy your used curriculum. So I know not all of the services do this for you or allow you to set up saved searches, but it's very useful when they do, because then they will alert you to when somebody posts about something. Say you're looking for like all about reading level 2 or something like that, and so you're able to put in a saved search, so you get an email that says someone just posted and you're able to respond to it quickly. Because the thing about some of these used sites is they sell quickly. If it's a good product, like someone barely used it but still they have to sell it at a used price, you can snap them up quickly, only if you're paying enough attention. So sometimes setting those saved searches really works. I do this a lot in Mercari, Mercari. It's an app called Mercari where you can buy and sell all sorts of used things. And I do both buying and selling on that platform, but it allows you to save some searches. The other locations I tend to buy my used curriculum or sell it is Facebook and Facebook Marketplace, but more Facebook. And I'll get into that tip just in a little bit when I talk about Facebook specifically. But I use Facebook Marketplace, Mercari, and I know people do use eBay. I just have never gotten into it. It always seemed a little too cumbersome to get into, and then there was always this bidding aspect of it, so I never got into it. But I know a lot of homeschool moms who utilize it, and so that is also an option. And I always do check there. I just don't usually find what I'm looking for when I'm looking to buy something. So for buying, those are the places I tend to look. Okay, my next tip, this is a big one, this has burned me in the past. For buying used curriculum, you need to do a lot of good communication. So you need to clarify the condition. So say you're buying a pack of books, you need to make sure every book is accounted for. Or if you're buying like a math manipulatives set, which is what got me in the past, make sure you know exactly what they are including and compare it to what you need. Because a lot of times they're selling old editions of a kit that doesn't totally pertain. It still has a lot of overlap to maybe the newest edition that you are using. So clarify all those with communication with the seller. Make sure you understand what edition it is, like have them look it up. And like in the case of Sunlight, like a lot of times you just have to state which year the edition is, because it matters. It matters significantly. And say like Sunlight, because there are worksheets or activity sheets that you have to buy for your kids, but the old ones aren't always available on the website. Usually just the new edition ones are available on the website. And so if you don't know this, you might end up with a set that you can't get the activity sheets for, if that makes sense. So really being able to clarify those additions and the condition of things, like is it damaged, show all the different damage as well as items missing. So do a really good job of making sure you understand exactly what you're buying, because I don't really think people are meaning to be like shady in any means. I just don't think they always give all the information, and you just, as the buyer, it's on you to make sure you get the information you need. And so the last buying tip I have for you is to join specific Facebook groups. This has probably worked for me. I'd say 50 to 75% of my buying and selling has been on specific Facebook groups. And what I mean by specific is the curriculum. Like I am part of a Saxon Math buy sell trade page. I'm part of a Sunlight buy sell trade page. I was part of like the Singapore Math one, and that just gives you access to one, buying other people's used stuff, but also selling. It's the best place to sell stuff because those are the people who are looking for it. So there are other generic homeschool used curriculum groups, and they're gigantic, and sometimes your posts can get easily lost on sites like that. And so I recommend finding those specific curriculum groups, and it's much easier to sell on those. And I've had a lot more success doing it that way. So I would say that's one of my bigger tips. So that kind of segues a little bit into our selling stuff as well. And that's the first thing on my list, again, on selling, is to join those specific groups, because I've been able to sell quite a bit. And things can just go really quickly as long as you price them well, which is my second tip. So my second tip for selling is price well. Be realistic with yourself. The thing about selling anything used, which I've learned with not just used curriculum, but everything else, is that a lot of times you as the seller have like emotional attachment to some of these things. Or like in the homeschool world, you paid a lot of money for this and it didn't work for your kid, and you want to get more money back so you can buy something else. And I totally understand and relate to that. But if you price something too high, it will not sell. And then you will get no money for the purchase. And so you have to be willing to price it low. And sometimes I price it even lower than expected, because then I always sell it. And that way I sell my stuff and I also get it out of my house. So that is something I highly recommend, is just be realistic with what you're trying to sell it for. And it might hurt to be like, oh, I wanted to get more money back on this. But to get some money back is better than no money. And the thing about those Facebook groups or other groups is sometimes those posts get lost, and you have to be able to make kind of an impression right away, because when I sell stuff, I tend to sell it right away. If it gets lost in the feed or if somebody has to search for it, I'm much less likely to sell it. And so I tend to price low because I want the attention and I want to sell it fast. Another tip I have for selling is to offer free shipping. To me, that's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer. Psychologically speaking, somebody thinks they get a better deal because it's free shipping, even if you have padded the price just a little bit to accommodate the shipping. Not a lot. I kind of in my head split the shipping with the buyer by just adding like an extra $4 to the price or whatever it is, and then saying free shipping. So you're gonna get more people to buy your stuff if you offer free shipping. And if it's something like books, you should definitely do free shipping, because media mail is so cheap. And it's so worth it. And it's so much better than, say, using a prepaid label. So if you're like working with like something like Mercari, which will do the prepaid labels, and it's very convenient, but their prices are so high on the shipping, when you could take that same weight in books and ship it media mail, and it's so much cheaper. So I always offer free shipping, and then I say I'm just going to mail it myself. And that has worked out really well for curriculum. As long as you're very cognizant of the rules for media mail, that works out really well. And the last big tip for selling curriculum is to make sure you get good pictures. It makes all the difference, guys. Don't have a cluttered picture. Spend just a little extra time making sure you get a good picture of what you're selling, as well as any damage, and you can clarify exactly what is present, what is missing. If there's any specific damage, take a picture of that separately and be like, in your description, make note of that and point that out to people. As well as when you are selling and you're in the communication with people, I always do this. I always clarify that they saw something. As we're like going through the process of like sending out emails and sending out PayPal stuff, is that I'll be like, I just want to double check that you saw that this does not include such and such book. I don't have that. Are you still okay with this? because sometimes they miss that, and then they'll come back at you and be like, hey, you didn't send that. And I was like, I know, it was part of the listing. And granted, you're covered because it was part of the listing, but I like to just double check that someone is aware of the condition with which I am selling my items. I think it's just polite, in all honesty. It's polite to be totally upfront and honest. And then I guess the last thing that kind of takes into that is I always use PayPal. I like PayPal because, one, it protects you in case there's a dispute, and two, you can send invoices. And it's just an easy way to make it feel more professional. And it is more professional, and you're able to protect both the seller and the buyer. And I think that like Facebook has some stuff, but I just feel more comfortable with PayPal. I probably just need to look more into it. I'm not saying Facebook is bad. I just really like using PayPal anytime I'm buying and selling used curriculum. So yeah, I think those were all of my tips. I have learned a ton. Please let me know down below if you have any questions about those, or if you want more details about how I do things specifically, because I think this is the time of year when you want to be posting your used stuff, because this is the time of year people are looking. So I'm telling myself this as much as you guys. Be diligent in getting your used stuff posted if you want to sell, and doing it now, because it will not sell in the fall. Like, you can post it all you want, but you'll end up taking a cheaper price for it than if you sell right now, which is the time for buying and selling used curriculum. So it's an exciting season, and I love it, and I hope these tips were helpful. If they were, please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you want to, if you're not already subscribed. And otherwise, I will see you in the next homeschool video, guys. All right, take care.